Hi there, this is Amanda Frankel with Our Crafty Playdate, and I wanted to show you something that we've been working on lately. First of all, I have to tell you, I love this stamp set. I'm so excited that it's not retiring. Actually, nothing on this card is retiring except a little bit of the color. But I'm going to show you how to make this today, so let's just get started. All right, I am going to bring in a piece of my grid paper because I love it. It actually is great for measuring, and I do that all the time. I'll say, how big do I need to make that piece of paper? And I've got it on there. Or I use it to line stuff up if I'm trying to center something. Sometimes I'll just use the grids here and use that line to kind of center it on my item. But love the grid paper. It doesn't bleed through either. And here's a past one. I also do sketches on it and all kinds of things. So very handy. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to be making this. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is get a piece of paper. This is crumb cake, and I'm just going to make it into a card. There you go. All right. So the next thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and do my stamping, and then I'll set it aside and show you what I did with the framelits here. But let's do some stamping first. I did use two different colors of green here. A lighter one here, which is the old olive, and that's what this color is of the leaf. And then I used Mossy Meadow, as you can see by my hand here. Check out that. Here and actually on the leaf to give it that pattern. So this stamp set that I'm going to be using a couple actually. I'm going to be using Gorgeous Grunge, and we're using a couple of these, actually almost all of these, to make this image. And then we'll do the leaf afterwards. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll get that out of our way. All right. So the first thing that I'm going to do is my lightest color of green. And my lightest green here is going to be the old olive. And the reason I wanted to pull in one of these mats is because you do actually want to stamp it off the edge of your piece of paper here. So let's say right about there. Okay, and so it does come off a little bit. And so if you're stamping on a table or something, be sure that you put something under it when you're doing some of this random stamping. That is the only thing that I'm using old olive for right now. Again, I said it is in that paper, but that's about it otherwise. All right, now let's do the Mossy Meadow. We have a couple things to do with, well, yeah, okay. Well, we have a couple things to do with Mossy Meadow. So we could stick our thumb in it. That's a good thing, good place to start. This is also where it's handy to use this paper. Okay, so this is one stamp, and I am gonna let them overlap and hang off the paper like that. And then let's see, I am going to do some ink splotches too. This one. Love this one. Just be sure that if you're doing something like this, you do want to rotate it a little. See how I rotated it in my hand? How about this? Now we'll turn it this way. If you don't rotate it, you know, it looks exactly the same, and then it really doesn't look like a random splotch, although that's kind of a cute thing too with the several colors. All right, so that is Mossy Meadow for now. We're going to need it again in a minute when we do our leaves. The only other stamping on here is done with Cajun Craze. This color here, it's kind of a rust color. And it's funny because I don't really use it a lot in times other than maybe fall. But when I am doing cards, I have a tendency to take a lot of color cues from the designer series paper, and the one that went with this framelit set had some of this Cajun Craze in there, and it looked great. So I loved that I knew it was going to match. Okay, so now we've got the back part of our card done, and we just need to assemble this. And whenever I'm assembling a punch art piece, which really this could be considered kind of a little packet, a little punch art piece, I don't do it on the card itself. I actually build it and then attach it to the card. So I'm gonna show you how I did that. The framelits that I used would be the leaf, the little flower, and the big flower from the Botanical Builders framelit dies here. And I do love these. There are a bunch in that set. You can really do just about anything. But these are the ones that I've done. And I used Hello Honey with this as far as paper goes, but I didn't use Hello Honey ink. I wanted it to have just a little bit of a different look and be very shaded. So I did ink these already, but I did keep one for you. So I want to show you how I did it. First, before you ink it, be sure that you do whatever curling you want to do, especially if you're going to use your fingers, before you start inking, because otherwise you smear all the ink off onto your hand. I am actually using crushed curry ink to ink the edges here, and I just put the finger dauber on and go ahead and ink the edges. And that's what I have already done with these flowers here. But I wanted to show you how to do that. You can see it's a really precise, careful, planned out action there. So just be relaxed about it. Don't let yourself get stressed out. Another thing that I did on this card, as you can see, I also made a little darker center. So I did use the Cajun Craze again for that, actually. And then I used the finger dauber for my Cajun Craze. And I am just going to kind of put a little smudge, because that's also the technical term, in the middle. Now, I only need one set of these flowers, but I almost never ever do just one of something at a time. When you do that, it's a lot of work creating and designing, and you're only making one. So this way, now I will be able to assemble and have two ready to go the next time I'm ready to do something like that. Okay, so I've shown you these two things. Let's move those out of our way. But now you need to see what I did with the leaf. Now the leaves that I did two of them on this pack here. They are cut out of Old Navy. I'm sorry, Old Navy. Whole different thing. Old Olive. There you go. They are cut out of Old Olive paper. And I used Mossy Meadow ink. Okay, I'm gonna get it straight. I'm just cracking myself up today. I hope you're laughing at me too. All right, so the great thing about using photopolymer stamps, and photopolymer, remember I talked to you last week about it, they're the see-through ones. They're not just clear. Clear means clear mount. These are photopolymer, and that means you can literally see through them, is I don't have to stamp first and then cut. I can actually just go ahead and stamp right on top of it like that. And I will be pretty accurate. With this leaf, you don't have to be super, super accurate, but I'm going to be pretty close because I can see through my stamp to see where I'm putting it. That one's a little off, but that's okay. All right, that won't matter. Okay, so now we're going to start assembling our flower. Oh, before I get too far along here, let me show you. I'm almost out here. I need to get in and order some more, but these are Jules Basic Rhinestones. And the best thing about these, seriously, besides the fact that they're really sparkly, really faceted well to get a lot of sparkle, the best thing about them is you only ever need one color of gem. And I know you have a huge collection of them from other places. You don't need them. What you need to do is go to Costco and buy every Sharpie ever made in every color and take that Sharpie and color your gems with it. Oops, that one's loose. I probably have done that once before. You can see here that I've done that, and you can see that you just go around. Make sure that you go all the way around it so that you get all the edges. I'm kind of chasing it around here. But there is my beautiful orange gem, and that's what I've used here. You were probably wondering, hey, where did she get that orange gem? I made it. Made it myself with my Sharpie. Okay, and then just use a pair of scissors or snips or something, your fingers, whatever, to pick that guy up and put it right in the center of your other flower. Put your finger on it. Done. Okay, so there is my beautiful orange little flower. All right, so now let's start assembling our little packet here, as I call it. Okay, the first thing that I need is to find my other leaf, which I have lost, but I know I stamped. All right, the first thing that you need to do is find your other leaf. But once you've done that, here we go, and you can go ahead and start putting them together. I use the edge of dimensionals quite a bit, these little edges, and we're going to use that piece here. And we want to do it between these two leaves so that we have a little bit of difference between these two parts. And you don't have to be super, super specific about it. You can just kind of plop it on there on top of a dimensional. I'm using the dimensional to hold the other piece to it. And then I'm going to add another dot of glue just because I've touched it a lot. And then I'm going to stick this flower directly on there. And you may want to know, why am I not putting another dimensional there? Well, I do want a lot of dimension in my flower, but I also want to be able to mail it. So I'm going to put a dimensional under these leaves to attach them to the card. So if I keep stacking up dimensionals, I will not be able to mail this guy. So here we go. So I've glued that flower on there. And now how am I going to get that on there? Because I do want it to stand up off there a little bit. Well, instead of using a dimensional and instead of just liquid glue, I am going to take some glue dots, and I have these on a card as opposed to a roll. My kids did a school project and used all my rolls, and I'm just going to roll that up like that and make a little glue ball out of it. And that is, as you can see there, it is not quite as thick or dense, not quite as tall as a dimensional, but it is shorter than a dimensional, taller than glue. There we go. Boy, I am off today. You guys love me to stick through this one. Okay, so there is that little packet of flowers, and I am telling you, this would be adorable on just about anything. And you could make a bunch of these and call them card candy and give them as a gift on a little card. And then somebody who's a scrapbooker may want to use them in a scrapbook too. So that's one of the reasons why I assemble things separately. And then when I want to attach it to the card, I am literally going to take just one dimensional, put it on there, pull that off, and pull that off, and just stick it right down there. And this card is done. And I think this would be a great card for just about any occasion. I leave a lot of mine blank inside unless it's a, definite inside kind of message card. But this one I would leave blank because I think it would be a great get well or thinking of you. And I know just who I'm going to send it to. So thank you for stopping by and being patient with my crazy word salad today. And I hope that you will stop back again soon. If you would like any of these products, please visit my website at ourcraftyplaydate.com. Or if you just want to come by and see some inspiration, I do post there pretty regularly. Also, please hit the subscribe button down below. Subscribe and like right over there so that I can continue to make these videos for you. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.